Welcome to segment 6. We're going to talk about the swing voter next door. We've had some discussion as to exactly what we're going to talk about. So I will let Gretchen start the conversation.
He asked me what I wanted to talk about, and I said this is what I wanted to talk about, and then he changed it.
Looking at the boundaries.
Well, I've got an interesting story that popped up this week, and it was so interesting that my coworker texted me on her day off. I was working for her, and she was at home, and she texted me that Kim Davis has declared that she is becoming a Republican.
I saw that.
And everyone said, I didn't know she wasn't.
Kim Davis is the woman in, what state?
The county clerk in Kentucky.
In Kentucky, who,
Rowan County, Kentucky.
right, who protested, she didn't want to do gay marriage licenses.
Right.
And I think everyone probably assumed she was a Republican.
Yeah.
It turns out she wasn't.
And some Republicans, like Mike Huckabee, rushed to her aid and defended her. And so yes, I think there was at least a minor shockwave that when we found out that she's now switching to our side.
Yeah, I was surprised I heard that too.
Right, and so what I wanted to talk about was people who should be Republicans.
Something we've talked about a number of times.
We've talked about that privately many times, and I think, she, it sounds to me like she is a born-again Christian, and that is the decision she's made within maybe the last 5 years or so, maybe less. And so I think that, I think that's a good example of someone who should be a Republican is a born-again Christian.
Yeah, it's interesting that would happen. Southerners, for the most part, tend to be Democrats, not necessarily liberal Democrats, just Democrats.
Yeah, there's more.
But they're pretty conservative people.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're often very socially conservative.
Right.
They're often pro-life Democrats.
Which is probably, in her case, the interesting thing, because the rubber never met the road before.
Right.
Oh, I'm a Democrat.
Exactly.
My parents were Democrat. My grandparents were Democrats.
I'm comfortable with it.
That's what I am. Right. And then all of a sudden, reality slaps her in the face.
Yeah. Exactly, that's what I was going to say. And so I think, and people were, I say she's probably a fairly recent Christian because, she's saying she has these strong religious beliefs, but people pointed out, she's been married multiple times, and previously she didn't necessarily have these strong beliefs. So I think that this may be a fairly recent development in her life, as is now becoming a Republican.
Well, it might be something too that's good just to maybe help bring awareness to that to people that don't really, think about their real political stance until they see something like this on TV, and it might jog some people to actually look into it a little more and make a better decision.
Well, and that's what we're hoping with this. That's what I was hoping with this discussion was, we've often talked about it, and I think one of the ones that right now, especially with the Pope visiting and everything, I think a prescient one is Catholics. Catholics should be Republicans.
It doesn't make any sense. Catholics, I think, were Republican, if anything, up until JFK.
Right.
And
that's what I've heard.
No Catholic was not going to vote for the first Catholic running for president. And I remember it very clearly. The nuns, everybody, that they talked about it in church.
Right.
And they've been Democrats ever since. And it makes absolutely no sense. Most of the points of most of the planks of the Democratic Party go against Catholicism.
Yeah.
I mean, you have abortion, divorce. I mean, you think of all the things that, Catholics are just, right, they're just psycho on those sorts of subjects. Although this Pope is odd.
Yeah.
Don't send hate mail, but he's certainly not like prior popes.
Yeah. He's a new Pope for sure.
You notice he gave a little anti-gun shot there. Yeah.
I heard that too.
Huh? I
heard that too.
Yeah, just a little poke. Wasn't very long, but it was sharp. It is what it is, the pontiff. But we've talked in the past about sizable groups that made no sense that they weren't.
Right.
Classic is Hispanics. I mean.
Right. I mean, their biggest thing is family values.
Exactly.
I mean, their family is like the be-all and end-all, and that's their whole world is their family and church. I mean, there is in the church that I go to, we actually share our building. It's our building, we own it, but we allow a Spanish-speaking congregation to come in on Sunday afternoons and throughout the week and use our building. And yeah, I mean, family and faith are like the biggest things to them.
And it's true for blacks too. You have sort of two factions in the black community, not to oversimplify, but you've got that ghetto gang thing, which really is a very small segment of black society.
The secular part of the black culture is not that.
Right.
It's really not.
And they tend to be Baptists, who are also very, very pro-life and all.
A lot of black people are very religious.
Exactly. It makes no sense that they're Democrats.
No.
The thing is, liberalism has gotten to be extremely good at convincing segments of society that the Republicans hate them personally.
Yeah.
They've become very good.
Well, they've been very good at basically selling whatever it is that group wants to buy.
Exactly.
They're very good salesmen. But yeah, I mean, you see in the Democratic Party, you see some of those things that just absolutely are antithetical to one another. They don't go together. Like the Muslim, they're pro-Muslim, but they're also pro-homosexual. While Muslims hate homosexuality, and you know, they will say the Quran says to stone them. So, and stoning, if anyone's not aware, is a very brutal way to kill someone.
How could you not be aware of being crushed to death by rocks being thrown at you?
Yeah.
And it's not even just that. Women's rights. The left are always touting women's rights as if Republicans don't believe it.
Right.
Women have no rights.
Right. Yeah. Muslim women are property. They don't have any rights at all.
None of it makes sense.
It doesn't. And somebody once, I don't remember who said it, but somebody said that those two tenets of the Democratic Party are like, it's like Obama has his feet on two ice floes, and they're
Getting further apart.
Right. I mean, it will tear them apart. Though.
Yeah.
It will. I mean, it has to.
We can't go on.
And I think there are a lot of black people that are waking up, especially when people like Herman Cain, Ben Carson, and people like that are jumping in and offering an alternative to the Black Democrats, you know, and saying yes, you know, the Republican Party is the party for black people. I think they needed that. They needed to see that, and so I think there's some black people that are coming around and smelling the coffee. Hispanics are a little slower. I'm hoping that Cruz and Rubio are making some inroads, because it's tough. It's tough to get into the Hispanic community.
Well, it is, and watch this wonderful segue. The interesting thing is that people are beginning to abandon the Democratic Party, like that. I think they're getting fed up with it. Hillary Clinton, I think, has single-handedly, next to our president, who is certainly the greatest voice for why not to be a liberal, but next to him, Hillary Clinton. The interesting thing about Obama is he basically is proud of what he's doing.
Yeah.
He advertises it. He tells people,
oh, yeah.
I love this. Hillary Clinton knows what she's doing is wrong. She tries to do it on the quiet, but pretty much she's dumb as a brick, as it turns out. And like the email thing.
Yeah.
They just got totally hosed down. I mean, who said to her, whatever, 4 or 5 years ago, you know what? Why don't we do a private server and no one will ever know what you wrote?
It'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. What could go wrong with that? Yeah. I think a lot of Democrats are getting, it may be that they're not fed up with the Democratic Party. They're fed up with where the party is going and has gone.
Right.
That gross liberalism, that I think Planned Parenthood was the stake
Well,
that went through the heart.
it's definitely one straw on the camel. You know.
You can't, I don't care who you are, you cannot watch those videos and go, this is disgusting.
I've seen people comment on Facebook saying, I'm pro-choice, but this is
This is not what I bought into.
Right,
That's,
exactly.
yeah. It's, and you know what? It looks like you're getting a pass from what's happening.
So far, so
what's
far they are, although I'm hoping that people like Ted Cruz and the people who are really like stalwart and you know, dogged about these things, I'm hoping that these people will not let this go in future sessions. You know, that it's gonna keep, like Obamacare, it's gonna keep coming back again and again until
they failed to
get the right
defund it.
answer, yeah.
Which I don't totally understand, and I'm not a political pundit, but I don't quite understand how you can be in control of the House and the Senate and lose. Did we have defector Republicans in that defunding?
We did, and Mark Hurd from Illinois was one of them. Yeah,
Gee, there's a shot.
I think there was a half a dozen Republicans that voted, and it was a vote to like move it forward. Was what it was. So that's what they're gonna say. They're gonna, oh, I didn't vote
to defund it.
I didn't vote for Planned Parenthood. I didn't vote against defunding it. I just didn't vote to move it forward.
Yeah. Do we have their names? Because
I can get them.
Next election cycle, they need to be reckoned.
Yeah, I can certainly get them.
I think it's safe to say that the more reasonable Democrats are starting to, they may not be becoming Republicans, I think they're just not being Democrats anymore. And I'm not quite sure where that puts them. Maybe that's good for Republicans, because maybe they're looking at who the candidates are with a sharper eye, more critical about it.
Yeah.
But it really is, it's out of control what's happening. And you read articles all the time about people who are Democrats who believe that the party no longer represents what they think. We were talking earlier, JFK, I've maintained for a long time that Kennedy today, if he were alive today, would be a moderate Republican. Because back in the day when he was a Democrat, that would be a central Republican today.
Well, I was kind of one of those people too. I grew up believing to vote Democratic.
You did?
Yeah. It's kind of how I was raised, sort of, in a sense. And I didn't really have much interest in it. Yeah, but I've changed, obviously.
Oh, okay.
I've reformed my ways. But seriously, though, I didn't really pay much attention to politics. That's kind of what I was kind of taught, and that's kind of how people go. And then some people, I go, anyway. And later in life, I kind of realized some of the values that I more so kind of fall more towards the working party.
Well, it's true, I think, that as you grow up, you just affiliate with who your parents are,
right.
what they believe.
And that's kind of changed too now for that. Yeah.
The interesting thing is somebody a long time ago came up with this. It was quoted as saying, if you're 20 and you're not liberal, you have no heart. If you're 40 and you're not conservative, you have no brain. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. Getting back to the minorities like blacks and Hispanics, I don't know. I mean, we've had blacks and Hispanics on the show, and nobody can come up with a really good way to convey the message.
Yeah, I think that the main thing that I've heard from the black Republicans that I know is that they say that the people who like live in areas that are like, black neighborhoods, basically, they don't want politicians to just show up at campaign time. They want you to be consistent. They want to have that.
Right.
They want to have that relationship before that, and then when you show up and say, "Listen, I'm running for Congress," or "Listen, I'm running for state rep or whatever," then they'll listen to you because you already have a relationship with them.
Yeah. Well, and that probably is true. It's a lot like candidates coming to the Illinois State Rifle Association at a grassroots meeting and saying, I'm a pro-Second Amendment, I want your vote, and we've never seen him before. We've never heard from him before. It's buying in at the last minute just to win votes. It's fairly transparent. I don't know, we didn't really solve that.
I was trying to find that list.
The list of
Give people food for thought.
Which list are you trying to find?
The Senate, the Republicans that voted.
Oh, that voted for,
That voted against moving.
I mean,
forward
against,
the
yeah.
votes in Wisconsin.
We can always find it, put it on Facebook.
Yeah,
That's
I know, Mark Kirk was one, Kelly Ayotte was one, Tom Cotton was one, I saw another guy's name in here.
These are names I've never even heard before.
Never heard of Kelly Ayotte.
Which is the interesting thing about our form of government. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think any president in the past 4 elections has been elected by majority, have they?
No.
I don't think they have. And yet they love to talk about how they have the mandate of the people.
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
In reality, they don't have the mandate of squat.
I think the last one that had like a really definitive win was George Bush. George W.
W, yeah.
George W. had one.
We were talking about that earlier today too, because whether you like him or not, he had a sort of charisma. He was, you know, I've heard people say it, I've said it. He's the kind of guy I'd like to, you know, like have lunch with. He just seems like he'd be an interesting guy to be with. There's nothing about Obama that appeals at all.
Right.
I mean, he's negative about it. And his wife, my God, complaining she doesn't get paid to be the first lady.
Comparing the White House to president.
Yeah.
Yeah, she gets paid. She gets paid in the room, board, and everything else.
Well, no kidding. She gets Air Force One, and
She gets vacations around the world.
they've taken more vacations than any first family in history. And he's played golf way more than any, I mean, not marginally more, like hundreds of games more than any president in history. And they're never like at the local golf course. They're in like Hawaii, you know.
Well, he was in Hawaii anyway.
Yeah.
That really close elections they're speaking of, like the voting.
Yeah,
50-50 or whatever, you know. That really speaks to the polarization of our country, though.
very much so.
Because if it was like 25-75 or something, then you know that majority's over here. Well, no, really, all split pretty bad.
It does
That's not a good
indeed.
thing.
And we were talking about this earlier too. You know, the time was Democrats and Republicans would go into the back room and they'd smoke cigars and pound at each other for a while, and then they'd go drinking and they'd come up with a plan. They don't even talk to each other anymore for the most part.
Right.
We're so far apart on everything now. But look where they've done. The interesting thing is Republicans really haven't changed much. Republican Party still believes in pretty much what it's always believed in.
Although, I would say we have a lot more big government infiltrators now than
We
we
do.
used to.
But I'm talking about the moral values.
Oh, yeah.
The moral value stuff has
that's
kind of not
basically-
changed.
Yeah.
20 years ago, you wouldn't have found a Democrat to say, I think pedophilia is okay.
Right. Or even homosexual, you know.
Or gay
homosexual
marriage for
marriage.
that matter, right. And now it's like,
I actually saw this week on Facebook, I saw a video from not that long ago, maybe like 4 years ago, of Hillary Clinton saying that marriage is between a man and a woman.
yes,
Right.
I was like, I'm sorry, what?
yeah, they found that server.
Yeah. They found that one too.
Unbelievable. That woman is just unbelievable.
Yeah,
And so
she is.
now you got this other guy who's now beginning to look better than her, Sanders. I don't see he's electable,
No.
which leaves,
She's like as old as dirt, for one thing.
let's be careful about that. But,
No, I'm serious. He's gotta be older than you.
well, there are 1 or 2 people left on the planet that are, yes.
He's gotta be one of them.
But the big thing is he's beyond socialist. He's beyond socialist, which leaves us none other than Joe Biden. And I think
That guy's
Democrats
creepy.
like Joe Biden.
He is creepy. He's super creepy, especially when you watch that video where they put them all together.
Yep, with all the younger women and
Women.
stuff
When
and all that.
they put all the clips of him touching women together. That's super creepy, yeah.
With a little girl.
Oh my
for
gosh.
instance,
I wanted to kill somebody when I saw that.
Yeah, yeah,
When I saw him touching the little girl, I was like, okay, let me at him.
and he's got that smile,
Right.
that greeny smile.
Yeah,
he does
that
it.
creeper smile, yeah. And, but besides that, say what, you know, he sticks his foot in his mouth constantly. He says that he gives people advice to do things that aren't actually even legal.
Right, last year.
Yeah, just
He
go
told
off the
people
back.
to use a shotgun,
Yeah,
and somebody did,
Yeah.
and they arrested him.
right.
Yeah.
He goes, I used to what Joe Biden told me to do.
Right.
And the crazy, sad, scary thing is that despite all of that, he's still electable because he's been elected as he's a senator, right? He was elected multiple times.
And he's really
And he's run
the
for
heir apparent.
president. He's run for president like 3 times before.
Well, that people voted in.
He's actually,
You know?
he's the heir apparent at this
That's the
point.
question.
He is.
Yeah,
I mean,
he really
as horrible as that is, he is.
Yeah.
He's the guy to beat.
But the one thing I would say about Joe Biden over Obama, he's not an anti-American.
Right. He's not a Muslim and
Right.
he doesn't hate America.
He's an idiot.
Yeah, that's the one thing I would say about it.
Right.
If I had to choose between the two, it'd be Biden, but
Yeah.
I'd rather.
You couldn't make me choose. You couldn't.
Well, it's sort of like.
Death first.
Yeah, that's by hang your death by firing squad, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, just like in Princess Bride, death first.
Yes, right.
You know, you couldn't make me make that choice, but yeah, I can't imagine having a clown. I guess it would be like having Carter. Carter was before I was really sentient, so I was alive, but I didn't really understand, you know, what was going on. But I suppose having Joe Biden as president would be akin to having Carter.
Well, no, having Biden as president would at least be funny, because he has an astounding penchant for sticking his foot in his mouth.
Yeah.
Right.
Carter was like watching paint dry. It was like watching peanuts grow. Okay? I mean, the most controversial thing that he ever said was on the Johnny Carson show. I kid you not. And he said to Johnny Carson, "I have known lust in my heart." That was like,
Didn't he say, I've lusted after a woman in my heart?
Yeah. That was it for Jimmy Carter. And, you know, at least Biden would be funny. Imagine what the political cartoons could do
Oh my
with
gosh.
Joe Biden.
They would be like on their knees thanking
Yeah.
God on election night.
4 years of great material.
Yeah.
All right, well, we've probably not solved any problems, which is a common thread in segment 6.
I don't think that's what we're really
We're not supposed to.
shooting for.
We're
No.
getting people informed and trying to make them think.
Exactly.
I've
It's
had the wrong
supposed to
take
be-
on this from the
It's supposed
beginning.
to be thought-provoking conversation. It's not supposed to be.
We should start over. Anyway.
We'll start over next week.
We have no idea what we'll do next week. Well, next week, Nick Ficarillo and Craig Buktovic will be on. Craig has to call.
And tell us about these people. Who are they?
And well, they both used to work at the sheriff's department. They were
Okay.
command staff.
Okay.
Great guys, both. They both retired. They have forever, I think, been studying the Constitution.
They
It's
have,
like their hobby.
they have encyclopedic knowledge
Yeah.
of the Constitution.
They really do. So it'll be interesting. The premise of next week's show won't be the only thing we talk about, but the premise of next week's show comes from an article that I read about what people believe the Constitution protects. And one person believes the Constitution.
No, it wasn't, it was a whole bunch of people.
Well, actually, you're right, it was more than one, that's right. Believes that having a pet is your constitutional right. So I thought, this is worth exploring. So next week we'll talk about that. Until then, be back next week for more On Target Radio and segment 6.